Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. We are here for rezoning case ZON-25-02. Ms. Bonney, do you please call the roll?
Trustee Knapp? Here. Trustee Fels?
Here.
And Trustee Ringel is absent.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so how this will go today is Robin will do a staff report and then probably let the applicant give a report.
A presentation.
Presentation, and then we will ask any questions, and then we'll open it for public comment, and then, which will be directed at us, and then we will direct the questions to the applicant, and they will answer any unanswered questions, and we'll go from there. Okay, Robin.
Thank you, Mrs. Faust. We are here to discuss rezoning case ZON-25-02 for a property located on South Old State Road having parcel ID 318-423-01011-002. It's just over 5 acres. The current zoning is Planned Elderly Residential District, or PERD. The applicant is requesting to amend the currently approved development plan to change the building design, footprints, and locations, including adding basements with egress windows and allowing those egress windows to encroach into the building setback, as well as to shift a sidewalk location. Property was rezoned from farm residential, or FR1, to the PERD back in 2021. Site work has commenced on the project, but as of yet, no buildings or streets have been constructed, so that's where we are in the process. To the north and to the east are single-family planned residential districts. To the south is another planned elderly residential district, and then to the west is South Old State Road and some FR1 properties across the street. You can see on the second page there, it's not a side-by-side, but a top and bottom. So that is the currently approved development plan that was approved in 2021. And then below it for comparison is the proposed development plan that is presented by the applicant. On the following page, you can see, again, the before and after. The top is the previous building elevations that are currently approved in 2021, and then underneath that is the proposed building elevations that are proposed to be updated in this development plan amendment. All right, going through the list of changes, Michelle, it actually might be better if you, can you go back up a page to the proposed site plan, just so it's easier to illustrate what I'm talking about. So the first is a change in the sidewalk location. There's a 5-foot sidewalk that runs along Myrtle Street, which is the east-west street on the north side there. So previously the sidewalk location was on the north side of Myrtle Street. It is proposed to change to the south side of Myrtle Street. The building footprints and locations are changing slightly, as I mentioned. The square footage of both types of buildings, there's a 2-unit building, then a 3-unit building. They're both increasing roughly a little less than 10%, going from 3,300 square feet to 3,600 square feet and 5,000 square feet to 5,400 roughly. To account for that footprint increase, buildings 5, 6, and 7 are 1 foot closer to the street pavement. Buildings 5 and 7 are now separated by 40 feet rather than 48 feet. So those are the buildings in the middle there, 5, 6, and 7. Again, they're getting just slightly closer together in the rear. Buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are on the north side of the development there, those are going to remain 42 feet from that northern property line, so the actual wall of the buildings will not get any closer to that property line. In the original development plan, they were set back 20 feet from the sidewalk on the northern side of Myrtle Street. With the sidewalk location being shifted to the south, they are now set back 20 feet from the street pavement instead of 20 feet from the sidewalk. Building 7, which is on the east portion of the site, that is now 82 feet from the eastern property line instead of 86 feet, 9 inches. So that one did shift slightly to the east there, but it's still greater than the initial setback of 42 feet. Just as a note, the PERD does not have required setbacks in the zoning text, so these are all just comparison changes from the previously approved development plan. In terms of the egress windows themselves, so language was added to be, to allow the egress windows to encroach up to 5 feet into the 42-foot rear building setbacks. Egress windows traditionally have been considered to be part of the structure by zoning, therefore that language is necessary to allow them to go into the setback, even though the wall, the foundation wall of the building will not be increasing any closer to the setback. Building design, again, we saw those earlier. In addition to the footprint changes of the buildings, their designs were also changed to include basements and dormer windows. While the included elevations are conceptual in nature and not prescriptive, the applicant has provided the elevations to show the type of structures that they anticipate building. There was also some name changes that are not necessarily enforceable by zoning, but we'll mention them nonetheless. The name of the development is proposed to be changed to Enclave at Old State, and previously there was a road to be named Rhonda Road that's proposed to be changed to Sydney Street. And then there are 2 divergences which we'll point out. Those were approved in the previous development plan, meaning that they are not really at issue with this amendment, but are included for informational purposes only. One is to have a minimum, less than minimum of 10 acres, which is required by the PERD. And then the second is a divergence for density at 4.2 units per acre instead of 4 units per acre. Again, those were previously approved in the 2021 development plan. In terms of review from other agencies, Delaware County Regional Planning Commission did not review this amendment request because it was a minor amendment. The Orange Township Fire Department also did not review because there were no changes to the street network. The Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this amendment with a 5-0 vote at their meeting on May 13th of this year. That's all I have at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
I don't think I have any for you.
I have none.
John, do you want to do a presentation?
Yes. Good afternoon. It's not evening yet. I appreciate the time here. Robin really summed it up pretty clearly. I know that there was some discussion early on about whether this needed to go through a rezone, and to err on the side of caution, I think it was decided that we would do so. So that's why we submitted it the formal way through another planning meeting. As Robin mentioned, there's really no substantive changes other than the building's got a little bit more expensive, a little larger. We added some living space. The market's really changed since we started this project. So we're going more towards a, more of a higher end type product. And again, they're for sale units versus for rent, which was kind of the initial plan, trying to hit a price point that doesn't exist anymore in today's world. There were a couple of public comments at the zoning hearing, and we talked through those, and I think satisfactorily answered those questions. And yeah, that's really it. I think the application is pretty clear and it's pretty minor, so I'll certainly answer any questions.
What was the reason that you made the changes?
Again, the market conditions have changed.
That's it.
We decided, we were originally trying to hit like a sub $400,000 unit, and you
Okay.
can't do that in Orange Township anymore. So, I think we're still gonna hit lower than Epcon, and Romanelli and Hughes. We're gonna be that more affordable, if you can call it that, price point, but we'll be, well over that number.
What do you think the price range will be?
We're still pricing it right now, actually, but, I'd say low to mid fives would be the starting point.
Okay. And they were going to be rentals before, they were going to be for sale before, with the prior application?
Originally, we came in to have it be all rentals, and there was a lot of pushback on that, so we changed it to all condos with no restrictions on rentals. you know, sometimes a condominium complex will have a maximum of 25% rentals or something like that. We changed it to back to condos that can be rented. But as of right now, our plan is to build them for sale.
Okay, but they could be rented,
They
potentially?
They can be rented.
They
yeah.
could be. So, but each one will have, the plan is to have each one would have an individual owner.
That's correct. Yeah, we're not planning to build them and rent them out ourselves.
Okay, so each one would have an individual owner, or I guess one person could own multiples, and they could be rented, but you think this type of product probably caters more to people, individual owners, and that's a good price point for the area.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We don't think that the price point we're trying to hit is really good for rental market. The numbers don't play out really well, so.
Yeah. I don't find the changes to be, very extensive. I mean, you know, compared to what, I don't think it was here when the original one was approved. When was the original approved?
It was 2021, it was right before.
Yeah, it was
you got
Oh,
back in
okay,
office.
yeah.
It was a COVID baby, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's why I didn't remember it. So, yeah, compared to what, when, you know, it doesn't seem to be a major change. And then I like the name of the Enclave. I like that new name. It sounds nicer than just independent living, so I approve of that.
Yeah, we were never gonna call it independent living.
Oh, okay, all right, I was like, well,
Sounds like a facility. Yeah.
it does, yeah, so, yeah, I don't have any objections. It seems like people are pretty much in support of it. It's pretty minor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the questions I have are just because I'm a nerd and like to look into details. So the patios it looked like the exterior, like I'm talking about buildings 1 through 4 on the north side of the property is where my brain is going. The layout is the same as it was in the original application, and the patios were shown. It looked like there's a window wells. Is that what's in between the patios?
Yeah, originally they were slab on grade with no basements. The
Right.
patios had always encroached over
Right.
that setback on the originally approved plan, so we still show it that way, but now.
So
we
what was
show-
the little, what I'm assuming to be the window well now, what was that initially going to be used for, the little square that's on the north side of the buildings?
Let me take a look here.
It's the rear elevation of the buildings.
Something.
North side.
Those were pads for air conditioning units.
Oh, that makes sense, okay,
Okay.
gotcha. And then the patios are about 12 by 12, is that,
That sounds right.
okay.
Yeah, without looking at the floor. I don't have my glasses, so I can't really look at the details here.
Exterior cladding looked like it changed, probably just to update with times.
Yeah, well, the color of the color rendering just came out a little lighter than the first one, but we're not really, I don't think we've asked for any material changes
Okay.
necessarily. But
It's all
we
still
do-
meets
we
our
would
code.
like to reserve the opportunity to come in with different color palettes potentially, but I think that's more of a BZA. I guess,
It's
Rob,
not
I
here.
didn't ask you that question, but, you know, there are definitely different shades of this color pattern that we have shown here, and we can stay within that. But, you know, as we're building these, if we start getting comments from the public that they would like to see some grays or some greens, then we'd like the opportunity to be able to do that. I don't
Well,
know
then
if
I would just take the colors out, right? If that's,
I'll have to, let me look at the text real quick.
Okay.
Generally, unless there's a restriction in the text itself, then it.
And there is
it's-
not.
Yeah, then it's fine.
It's pretty
free.
open.
You answered my question about they're gonna be for sale. Oh, I did have a question. When I was looking at sheet A 1.0, for specifically to the window wells, it had basically like a coded note when I'm talking about the window wells of E and D. But I couldn't find, like, the floor plan coded notes had numbers and, you know, pentagons, basically. But what are the diamonds? Like, what is D and E?
I can't read this, I'm sorry. I didn't bring my reading glasses.
Where's it at?
Sheet A 1.0. I mean, this is not this obviously isn't a complete set of architectural plans, which I'm sure you have, how far you
Yes.
are in the process.
and
Yeah.
where are you looking at it?
Yeah,
Oh, the Ds represent the egress windows.
that's what I was assuming.
And then the Es are just the typical basement.
The glass
18-inch
block,
windows.
basement windows, okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, just for some history's sake, South Old State widening, and you've been around, and Lisa's been around. Do we not remember when that happened? It was prior to this
It was
application,
before-
right?
Yeah, I'd say 2015 would be my
Okay.
guess.
When did you purchase the property?
2020, I think.
Okay,
2020.
so after the road was widened.
Oh, yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And then Robin mentioned in the staff report that Building 7 was moving to 82 feet or something. Is that Building 7 or Building 8? Because Building 8 is the most east unit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was building, I meant to say building 8.
Oh, that is building 8,
The staff
okay.
report may
All
have
right.
said building 7.
Cool.
Effectively, the building's got 4 feet deeper, and so
Right.
that's where it shifted.
Gotcha. Okay. Those were the questions that I had. Okay. Anything else, Lisa? We'll
No,
open it to public comment.
yeah.
Do we have any public comment? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hey, Alicia Edwards, 8119, South Old State. I'm the farmhouse, right in the middle of it all, on the left side. All right, so one of my neighbors tore his ACL and could not be here tonight, but he was concerned about sinking. So just making sure that we're circling around to hear back from people going in to check to make sure that that's been either a concern or it needs to be resolved, or if it's not affiliated with anything to do with the land. And then
I'm sorry, what did you say?
he claimed that there was sinking.
The existing homes that are.
Thinking?
Yeah, Sandy Pan came and spoke at the zoning commission hearing and had some concerns about that.
The
Yeah,
sinking?
of existing homes.
You mean like
Like the
your
ones that are-
house and?
My
or-
house particularly, no, but he wanted me to.
He was on the, so he's on the north side. What's the street that's above you?
Literally had surgery, so.
Yeah. Maxwell?
Maxwell.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that needs to
Sinking
be checked.
after this was approved, you mean?
Since the construction, the site work construction has started, so we'll ask John.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, when you're done.
Ah.
Okay, keep going.
The Walkerwood Homeowner Association president from the past had said that it was an issue, and it was promised that there would be more bordering or landscape or fencing.
Okay,
And neighbors told me to express that to you.
Okay.
So that we can make sure that there's a good buffer, especially with how there's coming out more, like expanding out a bit more into closer to the neighborhood backyards.
to the, the only building that's moving is the one on the east. The far east is the only building that's moving in relation to the existing homes. Okay,
Okay, and then I just want a formal understanding of when my fence will be put back. I'm sure you've driven past my house several times. Just want the fence portion that was taken down on my property to be put back up.
Okay.
And then those were the concerns of the neighbors that I'm speaking for, and then the fence was my only concern.
right, okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
all right, thank you.
And so your property is on the west side, is that right?
Yeah, her property's kind of surrounded, like it's on the left-hand side of the drawing, right above, basically the roundabout, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Miss Leonard from last week also wanted me, everyone's on vacation. She wanted me specifically to make sure that the sign had a permit and that it's in the proper placement.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you. Okay. John, can you speak to Sandy Pan's concern about the existing homes sinking?
Well, he brought it up at the original hearing, and it's very concerning if it's
Yeah.
actually happening, but I've talked to I've talked to our geotechnical engineers who, witnessed all of our earthwork movements. Nobody can figure out how that could ever be caused by our project. We're nowhere close to being within the line of influence of our dirt moving operations. I think their house is 35 feet off the property line, and we're 15 feet inside ours, so that is concerning, but I can't imagine it has anything to do with this project. But if they bring us evidence, we'll certainly look into it.
So you've already done site work?
I beg your pardon?
You've already done site work on it?
Yeah, yes.
Like what kind of things, like grading and stuff?
All the grading's done, we're getting ready to, all the utilities are in, we're getting ready to pave probably in the next 2 weeks.
Are you for the streets?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when did they say the sinking was occurring?
He mentioned it on the May 13th zoning hearing.
That it was recent?
Yeah, May
He-
13th.
No, but the meeting was on May 13th.
Yeah.
He didn't, I listened to it yesterday. I didn't get a sense of when he said the sinking that he was concerned about had taken place.
I assume they're in the minutes, those are basically minutes.
Well, our minutes are the audio recording. So like I said, I listened to it yesterday and I didn't hear like, it started,
Okay.
Yeah, I
You know.
think just during construction in general.
yeah.
Yeah,
And when did you start construction?
October.
Of last year?
Mhm.
And so, but did the person say that their house had sunk since October?
He did not indicate a time that I had heard in
I
the
think
public
the
comment.
implication was that I think he even said his neighbors were experiencing this too, that they were having settlement issues following the start of our construction. Again, I can't imagine that that would be the case, but if they have a structural engineer that can say, yeah, this settlement happened as a result of this, then we'll take that seriously.
That would be a rapid settlement then. That'd be pretty fast. I
Yeah,
mean,
Again, I can't imagine. It's not like we were like compacting the ground real heavy and vibrating or blasting or
Okay.
anything like that. We didn't do anything like that. We
Ne-
rolled the dirt in.
and the county engineer approved your drainage plans, your
They did.
stormwater, so there is no additional runoff. Okay.
So if the existing residents are able to touch base with some sort of a structural engineer, they can reach out to you and then you guys can have
Yeah.
another
I mean, it's not a
conversation.
zoning issue, but
Right, it's not
certainly
zoning.
they
Right,
should
it's
have-
construction.
They should contact me and we'll get the appropriate.
Yeah,
Okay.
approval.
like a civil issue, it looks
Yeah.
like.
Okay. Landscaping on the fence on the perimeter, basically, when I glanced at, when I was reviewing this yesterday, I pulled up the original approved plans along from a couple years ago and these new ones, and it didn't jump out at me that landscaping was different between this one and the previously approved.
I don't think we changed any of
It
it.
should be the same.
Okay. Sorry.
Because are these units closer to the houses?
No.
On the west side?
On the
No.
west side,
The one on the west side is, by,
on the east side.
sorry,
not
the
on
east
the
side
west.
by
But
4
not-
feet.
Not on the
9 inches.
west side where the neighbors are?
The north side and the east side of the property have the homes.
And the
We're-
north,
We're still well inside the setback that we had platted. We just moved the building 4 feet closer. And then it's important to mention that east of our east property line is an open space in Walkerwood, so the houses are even further away from there.
so on the west side, this is adjacent to neighbors, but the units are not closer than they were? Or they are by 4 feet?
What-
Technically.
Old State Road is the west side. So are you talking?
Oh, gosh, yes. North side.
North side, the homes are in the same exact spot.
Yeah, so no additional landscaping, right?
There
No,
are,
there was some concern that, the screening didn't look thick enough, so we did add it, but we added that back when we got it approved.
Okay.
We added additional landscaping.
looking at sheet 4/5, yeah, you're up there. Seems pretty continuous, once of diameter of trees along that
On the north?
side. Yeah.
But it's the same, still the same distance as it was before to the neighbors on that side?
The north side,
The
yes.
north side, right? Okay.
Okay.
And to the east side is the,
The east side
That
is
place.
basically 4.5 to 5 feet closer.
and that's that, is that the independent living? What's to the
No,
east?
The south side.
It's an
That's
open
south, okay.
space
Okay.
to the east.
Oh,
of
for
the
Walker,
space.
okay.
That's owned by Walker Wood HOA? Okay.
To the south is the,
Yes. There's
The Big
system-
Bear or
Banana
whatever.
Bear
Okay,
Trail,
okay.
Banana Bear Trail, yeah. Okay, and then her question about the fence, obviously you need the road to be paved before you can return the fence, reinstall the fence.
Well, so the fence was built on our property.
Right, I heard that.
Improperly, so we gave her a notice about she can have it pulled up and put back where it's supposed to be, or we'll do it, and so we did it.
Okay,
And I had a fence contractor give a quote to her to reinstall it for her, but we don't feel it's our responsibility to reinstall the fence, because we had to pay to have it removed from our property.
could you
It
be,
looks like there's a little bit of miscommunication.
I've never been, I don't know how I would have been misunderstood, because that's always been my position. I put it in writing, so,
what did you put in writing?
that we'll get a quote to have that fence put back, but it'll be the responsibility of the owner, the property owner.
do you remember how much the quote was for?
I don't.
Do you remember how much the quote was for?
6,000 or something. I spent $22,000 putting the fence in, and there were panels taken out my property. He marked the property wrong
No, I didn't mark the
and
property.
flagged it for my, the fence. And then they put the fence where the flags were. So I bet 4 or 5 panels are on his property, but there's also been panels taken off my property. That would be like me driving your car and just chainsawing 4 of your fence panels down.
Unfortunately, just what we're hearing, I think this is a civil matter between properties. The zoning can't determine where the fence was. There's no proof on our ends, but if you were to get a surveyor out, that would be something that you can help verify whether or not the fence was in your property. Yeah, I don't know how, as far as us resolving the fencing matter,
Yeah.
that is not something we could
That wasn't a
handle
stipulation
today.
or anything like that, okay.
Yeah.
And what was the
The
other?
other
The
thing was the
signage.
sign location. I did drive by, I drove up South Old State this, today, and I did hear that there was a concern, because the sign right now is on the southernmost part of your property, because you have to put the sign on your property. It can't be down by, is it Hayer? Is that the name of the road?
Yeah, we can't put it on
On
somebody else's property, obviously.
There is a driveway right now that is coming off of basically the end of that cul-de-sac, that's on the Inn at Bear Trails
Yes,
portion of the
that's
property.
an emergency drive.
So that will stay, correct?
As far as I know, it wouldn't be.
Does
part of our
it typically, will it have, most of our emergency things have those, the bollards that they can knock down. Does it normally have those? There was a chain or something. My kid used to
There
work there.
used to be a chain on there, but it's
Okay.
been gone for years.
Are you talking about, Erica?
So basically, there's a driveway just,
Just south of our south property line.
yeah, you can see it on the drawing there. And there, like he's saying, there used to be a chain, so it was clear that you weren't to drive out or in that driveway. I'm assuming the chain was put up by the Inn at Bear Trail?
It's a private road, right?
Yeah, it's an emergency access.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Okay. I think some of the residents' concern last time was if you weren't like following the GPS to get to your new space or looking at this potential space, right? They were thinking, well, the sign's there and someone might think, oh, I just turn in that emergency access road to get into your space, which realistically, that's probably what I would do, if I had missed it.
We can put barrels up or something like that, but, it's not our property.
Right.
We could put
So-
barrels across the pavement or something to.
Maybe a conversation to have with the inn's owner and/or fire to make sure that we have the right, because it is emergency access only, so the right thing that those of us who don't know, so we are clear that we're not allowed to drive on that.
I can certainly look into it.
Because he
I
can't put a chain up off a
I think it's just a
private road. It's not
challenge
his.
if it is
Right.
private. I don't know how much we can say, but I can,
We'll put a chain up if we get permission.
But it's not your property, so you can't do that.
That's right. We're not, we can't just go do it.
Right, yeah. So, because when, my son used to work at the Inn at Bear Trail back when you hadn't started your property yet, and I remember it was very clear I could not go out that road because there was a chain there. So, I don't know. It's also not a zoning thing.
yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that today, but I
We
mean,
can
if
look
we
into
can
it.
get conversations going and see that the emergency access maintains being treated as an emergency access.
Emergency access only.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
yep.
And did we ask about the permit for the sign?
Oh, yeah, permit for the sign?
So, so the sign company that I hired.
Right.
Issued or submitted a permit application, and they thought that that was all the action that needed to take place, so they went ahead and installed it. Turns out there were some comments, and I think they're in the process of relocating it now.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and to clarify, the sign that's out there now is not the permanent monument sign, it's a temporary real estate sign.
Okay.
So we do have a pending permit for it,
For
it
it.
needs to be set back at least 15 feet of the right of way. We've let the sign company know, so they are apparently in the process of making sure that it is
So
15
move it
feet.
farther away from the road, more to the east for the temporary sign, and then you'll have to go through the BZA process, I'm assuming, to get your permanent
Is
monument
it
sign.
required a conditional use for this one?
I would have to look.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we need a permit for our entrance feature.
Yeah.
Permanent entrance feature.
because your entrance feature's not in here.
It's not.
Okay,
Right,
so you're
yeah, then
with
it would
the
need a condition.
BZA for
Okay.
that one?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
Okay.
And then, so you'll move that sign back, the temporary sign, or it already is moved back?
I don't think it's moved back yet, but they.
You're going to?
They've been advised that they need to.
We've been in touch with the contractor.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thinking, landscaping at that,
Those were Alicia's questions.
I think those are,
Sorry, we couldn't solve most of them.
So in front of you are the options of resolution. So the first one, which it looks like the direction the board would like to go, is to adopt this application as is. If you have any modifications, then we would use the second one.
Okay. Do we have any modifications?
no,
I don't,
no.
Nothing is jumping out at me.
that's it.
Okay. You good?
Yeah,
Okay. I make a motion to approve Resolution 25-168 to adopt the recommendation of approval of the zoning commission as to zoning application ZON-25-02 of I-LOS 2.
Second?
Trustee Faust
Yes?
and trustee Knapp.
Yes.
Motion carries. I have nothing further on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Meeting
Yeah,
adjourned.